So, have you ever seen this situation where you're with a little kid and they get specifically told not to do something? Don't touch that. Don't go in there. That's not food. That's not what cats are made for. Take that out of your brother's neck. Instantly, because they got told not to do it, you know that is exactly what they're going to do. And it didn't even matter if they weren't going to do it before. Because they got told not to, it guarantees that that is exactly what they're going to do, with this little look on their face, like the cutest little anarchist in the world. This story is about a time that I did that as a grown man. When I was in college, every summer, the week before we would go back to school, I would go up and stay with my buddy Matt, who was in my class. I would go up and stay with him and his brother where he lived for the summer outside Rapid City in South Dakota. It was an awesome week. We would go cliff jumping and hiking and pretty much sleep, and that was about it. And we would watch The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, except during the day. Matt and I have always gotten along super well. We're both easygoing and laid back, and we had a great time together. And for some reason on this particular trip, we started doing this thing because we both recognized that we did get along with each other so well that we started to try to make the other person annoyed with us on purpose. We started just being jerks to each other. And whenever we would do something mean, we would look at the other person and say, "Have I annoyed you yet?" Neither of us was succeeding, and we just kept ramping it up to these ridiculous levels. One of us was laying on the couch, and the other person came up and just shoved him off onto the wood floor, like knocked the wind out of him. "Are you annoyed yet?" The answer was no. It was hard. So we get to, I think, the last couple nights of our trip, and Matt's neighbor down the hill wanted to invite us over for dinner. And for some reason, he needed to pull me aside before he went down to eat dinner and give me a disclaimer. He needed to give me a warning. Kind of felt like we were going to go eat at Jurassic Park or something. The food's gonna be awesome, and it's visions based on movement. He pulls me to the side, and he says, "Okay, man, here's the deal." And he's being dead serious. "Okay, man, here's the deal. The food's gonna be awesome. She's really nice. But whatever you do..." Does anything good ever follow that sentence? Whatever you do, do not mention the Goo Goo dolls. What? I cannot emphasize enough the level of seriousness that he was conveying with this warning. Do not mention the Goo Goo dolls. Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, totally. Don't mention the Goo Goo dolls. Got it. The bad thing was the second that he told me not to mention the Goo Goo dolls, that sealed his fate. It was always my plan. This was premeditated Goo Goo dolls mentioning. If he hadn't mentioned anything, we would have had a great dinner, gotten out of there unscathed. The food was awesome. She made like king crab over puff pastry with asparagus. I mean, it was fantastic. Great meal. We're almost done. I set down my napkin, and then just ever so innocently, I look at this lady and I say, "So, Matt tells me Matt tells me that you like the Goo Goo dolls." And while I did it, I was watching Matt to see his reaction, and it was the single most beautiful thing I have ever seen, ever. His face when I said those words. If we had been acting, he would have got the Oscar. That was an Oscar moment. The Oscar goes to Matt Otto. When I looked at his face as I said those words, it was this wonderful, explosive cocktail of emotion and feeling. I looked at his face when I said those words, and all in the space of an instant, I saw betrayal, fear, anger, hopelessness, perfectly encapsulated in his terrified face. And I don't remember what happened after that. when you're watching a TV show and they set up a moment like that and then it just cuts to the middle of this moment and you're laughing at the unfortunate characters for being stuck in this mess. That happened to me in real life. It just cuts in my memory. It just cuts. Somehow we wound up in the living room. She has a TV, 2 floor-to-ceiling DVD cabinets on either side. And I remember learning at some point that evening that every single DVD was the Goo Goo dolls. I don't know how that's possible. There were hundreds. Concert DVDs, bootleg concert DVDs, concert DVDs ripped from VHS home movies, TV spots, Goo Goo dolls on Sesame Street. We watched that. Also, the Goo Goo dolls were on Sesame Street. Become one with the couch, disappear. Ever seen that movie, Milo and Otis? Milo the cat thinks it'd be a great idea to jump in the box and float down the river. When the fun of going down the river is over, and it's nighttime and it's scary, and the narrator says, the trip down the river wasn't fun anymore. That was this moment. That was exactly what was happening. At some point, this woman is literally crawling across the floor. Giant glass of wine in one hand, lit cigarette in the other, reaching towards the screen and screaming, "My Johnny! My Johnny!" Scarred. At some point, we just escaped like fairy tale children from a lair. Followed the breadcrumbs up on out of that crazy place. We'd been traumatized by Johnny Resnick. I looked at Matt and I knew, I could see from his face, I had gone too far. I looked at him and I knew I had won. But also at the same time, I had lost everything that ever mattered in my sanity.